Okay, so these are the big six, and we're going to explain to you how come they became the big six. And the question on this matter is, if there was a big seven, who would have been the seventh? I'm going to share that with you. It's a very, very interesting question. If there was a seven, who would have been the seventh? I'll show you the potential of people who could have been the seven, and then we can discuss this. It's a non-academic, non-scoring story ahead of tonight's main presentation. So let's look at it. All right. So this is Kwame Nkrumah. The next is Adom-Otchere Lamte. We know that's father of Jacob Adom-Otchere Lamte. This is Adom-Otchere, who, of course, became Interior Minister for Nkrumah. So when Nkrumah broke away from the Big Six to form the CPP, he didn't break away just by himself. Later on, Adom-Otchere joined him. And I think that the accounts does not always do justice to that Adom-Otchere had joined Nkrumah later on. Yes, he did. Adom-Otchere joined Nkrumah later on, so that the accounts can do justice to it. Okay, and then after Adom-Otchere is William Ofori-Atta. Is that? Yes, after Adom-Otchere is William Ofori-Atta, and after William Ofori-Atta is J.B. Danquah, and after J.B. Danquah is Edward Akufo-Addo. So these are the big six. Now, here's the story. How did they become the big six? So as we all know, the account is told of the 28th February riots. And we'll hear a lot about that tonight as we go through the history. 28th February riots had happened. These were the leaders of the UGCC. It was widely speculated by the security people, the authorities in charge of security at the time, in 1947, or was it 48? 48. Or was it 47? Please, the historians check the account for me. 28th February, I think it was 48. So the 1948 riots, it was 48. So I've been reading a lot of history about the independence, so I think the data mixed it up in my head a little bit. But it was 48. So these men were thought to be the leaders of they were the leaders of the UGCC, and they were thought to be the leaders and the organizers, the orchestrators of the rout. Because after the rout, Danquah sent a telegram to London, informing London that, look, they had been routing in Ghana, the government that you have put in place, the civil government has collapsed, they cannot take any authority, so we, the Big Six, they were not Big Six then, we want to now take charge of Ghana, etc., etc. The accounts follows in the books. I'll show you all of that today. So when the authorities felt that these Big Six were in charge of the demonstration, it was a very difficult time. It was a time to be afraid. If you were one of them, it was a time to be afraid of your future. If you had children at the time and all that, it was a time to be afraid of the future of your children, because the colonialism situation was getting brutal. The colonial authority was feeling that the newly educated Africans who had been educated as the colonialists thought under their hand were now challenging them and trying to challenge the status quo. And they were descending on them brutally. They were grinding them out. You know what happened to Nelson Mandela in South Africa? He went to jail forever. You know what happened to Joshua Nkomo in Zimbabwe? You know what happened to the Sam Nujoma in Namibia? So all of these things were beginning in the 1940s. They needed to clamp down on these people. So if you were found guilty of having committed a crime, it was no joke. In fact, Nkrumah went to jail, you know that. So it was a time to be afraid. We can talk about it now and be okay with it. But it was a time to be afraid. When the phone call has come to your house or your law firm that the colonial governor was looking for you at the Adabraka police station, you were in trouble. You could go to the police station, they'll deny you bail. Nothing will happen. There was no human rights anywhere. So that was the story at the time. We have to get the context to understand what these guys went through. So they were now being thought about as being the leaders of the rout that had now killed Sergeant Ajete and Corporal Atipo and others. And there was looting all over Accra. They were said to be responsible for it. So they were arrested, or they were told, they were summoned by the police. That's where the story starts. So Danquah was thought to be their leader. So he was the first person who was told that you and your people come to the police station. Danquah immediately thought they needed a lawyer. The account is that they found R.S. Blay, Freddie Blay's uncle, the former Speaker of Parliament, chairman of the party, Freddie Blay's uncle, R.S. Blay. They found him as a lawyer. So they went to R.S. Blay to go and explain to him that they are being called by the police. They suspect that they are going to be held responsible for the demonstration. They will plead not guilty, but they need legal representation before the court. We're operating the British common law system, isn't it? Okay. So somehow they couldn't get RS Blay. They had gone to see him, talk to him. Something happened, they couldn't get RS Blay. So Dankwa then told them that it's going to be very difficult to find a lawyer. But Blay is our lawyer, but somehow he's not available. But my in-law, my niece's husband, Akufo-Addo, is also a lawyer. Let's go to him and see. So they went to Akufo-Addo's house, a place called Betty House in Accra, in the Accra Central area. And they were in Akufo-Addo's house. So this is Akufo-Addo. So Akufo-Addo had seen his wife's uncle, who he knew very well, Dankwa, had come to him with Nkrumah and other people. These were the most important people in the country at the time. And they were concerned that they needed a lawyer. He looked at the situation. It was complicated, but Akufo-Addo said, okay, I'll do it. So they were talking with him when the police came and arrested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And carried them to the police station. Said, all of you. Akufo-Addo didn't say that, oh, I'm not inside, I'm the lawyer. I'm not part of their UGCC. I beg you, I'm just their lawyer. He said, okay, let's go. Let's go. We'll go to the police station. Let's go. So all 6 had to find another lawyer because all of them had been arrested. Okay. So if there was Big 7, tell me, who would be the Big 7? Would it be RS Blay, whom I have mentioned, or would it be Ni Kwabena Boni? Please find his photograph. Ni Kwabena Boni. It's interesting why I mentioned Ni Kwabena Boni. Ni Kwabena Boni was the one upon whose shoulders the responsibility of Chief Operating Officer for the Aluta was. I hope when I say Aluta, everybody can understand, the younger people and the older people. You know, back in the Commonwealth, we sang a song, Ye Aluta, Ye Aluta, Ye Aluta, JJT. JJT. That's the song we sang in Commonwealth. We call it Aluta, demonstration, routing, and all that. We call it Aluta. So Aluta Continua, I think it's a Spanish word. It was used by Che Guevara, I believe. Che Guevara had used that when he was fighting in Mozambique, in Southern Africa, in the Frelimo and Renamo War. I think that's where it came from. Aluta Continua is what Che Guevara used to say. And that's where the term Aluta came from. All right. So they were all arrested. But Ni Kwabena Boni, he is the Osu-Alata Manche. It is Ni Kwabena Boni who had meetings with Dankwa and particularly Adom-Otchere, who I believe was related to Ni Kwabena Boni. I think so. Adom-Otchere and Dankwa had met with Ni Kwabena Boni, and Ni Kwabena Boni had organized the demonstration with the Osu youth. They had been a very, very powerful force in the demonstration. Kwabena Boni was gone into hiding because he knew that the police were looking for him. So he was not amongst the people that had organized the demonstration with him. So we are looking for Big 7. Should it be RS Blay? Should it be Ni Kwabena Boni? Or interestingly, I mean, I know that this is going to annoy some people, but it's Independence Day, we are sharing jokes, so don't worry. Should it be Mrs. Akufo-Addo? Because you see, Mrs. Akufo-Addo is the reason why Dr. Dankwa thought that the lawyer should be Akufo-Addo. It's because of Mrs. Akufo-Addo. Because Mrs. Akufo-Addo was in his head as his niece, and must have phoned Mrs. Akufo-Addo or must have gotten in touch with her. This is Ni Kwabena Boni. Thank you very much. Sir, we salute you. We salute everything we did for Ghana. We salute you wherever you are. We believe that we'll meet one day at the resurrection. But what you did for Ghana has not been forgotten. 67 years after the fact, we are talking about you today. Because people like you have not been spoken about. The independence has been treated as if you were not part of it. But Ni Kwabena Boni, you were part of it. May your descendants prosper in this nation. Because Ni Kwabena Boni set out his life for this country to be independent. And we never talk about him. We never ever talk about Ni Kwabena Boni, the Osu-Alata Manche. We never say anything about him. It was him who organized 28th February. And he had to go into hiding. Because if the police found him, they probably would not even have given him a fair trial. They would have cut off his head. Because this was the tumultuous event that eventually led to Ghana's independence. Not just Ghana's independence. This was the tumultuous event that led to the deconstruction of the British colonial empire in sub-Saharan Africa. It was orchestrated. The seed was sown by this man, Ni Kwabena Boni. Those days when the Alliance for Change grew up, people were saying that Nyaho Tamaklo is trying to cast himself in the mode of Ni Kwabena Boni, and that's why Nyaho always wore a hat like this one. That's what people used to tease Nyaho about, that Nyaho is not Ni Kwabena Boni, he should stop doing that. And then they'll tease Nyaho and they all laugh. Because of the effect of Nikwa Benaboni. So we are coming back to the big six now. So I'm asking the question, and you can send your text message to our social media editors. Who should be big seven? Should it be Nikwa Benaboni? Or should it be Mrs. Akufo-Addo? Or should it be R.S. Blay? Who should be the big seven? Among Kwame Nkrumah, Obeche Lamte, Adom-Otchere, William Ofori-Atta, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, and Edward Akufo-Addo. Who should be the big seven? Let's get an answer from all of you on that.